how to create extraordinary achievements, growth, and impact. That is the topic of the hour. Hello, good day, greetings, bonjour, and salams to peeps from all around the world. Welcome to the live. Now, this particular series is called Impact 2.0, where we feature purpose-driven leaders making a dent in the universe in their own special way. Stick around till the end, and I promise you that you'll walk away with at least one, if not more, practical yet scrumptious takeaways from each of these live sessions, like an ice cream sundae topped with heavy whipped cream, melted dark chocolate, and a dash of gold dust. But most importantly, if you turn up live, you'll get a chance to ask each guest questions that are bugging you like an itch that can't be scratched. Now, my today's guest believes that your masked personas can mess up all of your critical areas of life by justifying your actions and behaviors using the "I am honoring my values" excuse. But your true, unfakeable, and authentic being by default aspires to be in integrity with what you and others value. He is a featured expert in the coaching documentary series Living My Illusion, streamed on Amazon. He's the author of the award-winning book called Loneliness, A Path to Wisdom, Fit for Purpose Leadership, and his new book, The Unfakeable Code. He has appeared on hundreds of television, radio, and podcast stations across the world, including ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, and Sky. He's even been interviewed by Jack Canfield and Brian Tracy, and now little old me. So I'm honored and super pumped to have him on the show. So will you please put your virtual hands together to welcome my fantabulous guest, Tony Selimi. Hey, Tony.
Hey, Amber.
How are you?
I'm extremely well.
So good to have you on this show. I've been meaning to do this for a while. It's like, yay, finally I got a chance to do this. And it's right timing as well, because you've just released your new book, The Unfakeable Code, which we're going to talk more about it. And why did you write it in the first place? But first, Tony, we are going to start off the show with a quick fire round. Are you ready?
I'm ready, whenever you're ready.
All right, let's go. What's the most regrettable fashion style you've ever worn?
Skinny jeans.
I would have thought you would have looked sexy in it, but hey.
Well, hey, but it's not just the skinny jeans, it's the ones which are ripped in front, around the knees, and it's a bit the youth fashion design kind of jeans.
Okay, you draw the line there.
Yeah, okay. Draw the line there, yeah.
If you could only read one book over and over again for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
I think The Secret really changed my life.
Oh, wow. Okay, later on we'll talk more about why. If you could take 3 things to a desert island, what would they be?
It would be knife. It will be a pen and a paper.
Ooh, since you're a prolific writer, it's I should have seen that coming. So, Tony, what's the best advice you've ever been given?
Be unfakeable. And this is how the Unfakeable book was really, the idea to publish it and to write it came to me. Because one of the things coming out as a gay man in a culture which is extremely homophobic, I always learned to put so many masks to be able to fit and please other people. So I remember when I came out to my father, he simply said, "You are my son, and you are authentic, and you are a child of God, and you are loved. And don't let anybody else to tell you anything otherwise."
Yeah, such beautiful, beautiful words. And coming from a parent, that's so reassuring, isn't it? It builds your confidence and boosts up your confidence levels.
Yes, it does. I mean, I've had tremendous challenges around that with my family, because coming out in a Muslim family, it's quite difficult to really be yourself, because you are expected to be something you're not, especially somebody like me, who my parents are very spiritual people, And they encouraged me to study different religions, to open up to the world, science, healing world, and really find my own path. But despite all of that, it was quite challenging because it wasn't about really my relationship with my parents. It was almost what the entire environment would say about me to my parents. And they were literally safeguarding me. And, you know, it's they had their own views about life. I have my own views about my life. So we had to find this compromise between us to be able to still honor what they believe and also still honor me for who I am. So it was almost like this process that we all had to go through in order to really, as I say in the book, live freely on your terms.
Yeah, love that. Great advice. And lastly, if you could have any superhuman power, what would it be?
Being able to heal people instantly.
Oh my God, I love that one. Actually, I would go for the same superhuman power. That is the best one. If you can do that, well, voila. What else do you need?
Yes, I mean, you know, a lot of spiritual healers have had a tremendous impact in my life, especially at the very young age when I was in hospital for almost 2 years and my parents were told that I will die. So it was those spiritual healers that actually helped me get back into a perfect well-being. And it was at a very young age that I built this curiosity about how to merge science and spiritual intelligence to make a bigger impact in people's lives.
Awesome. Well, Tony, you know what? You rocked that quick fire round. And that calls for a celebration.
Celebrate good times. Come on!
Woohoo! All right, Tony. It's time to get into the spaghetti and bolognese of this conversation. Now, imagine that I'm holding a pair of boxing gloves. Could you take these gloves from me and smash for me, and not my face, please, but some kind of personal development myth, a bogus strategy, or a misconception, and set the record straight once and for all?
Sure. What in specific would you like?
I think about myth around leadership would be great.
One of the biggest myths that I've seen out there is basically we know it all, and a lot of people in the business world and leadership intuitively have tremendous knowledge. However, we are not capable to know everything, and most of them, they actually find it weakness to be able to seek advice. So I think when it comes to great leaders actually continuously invest in their development, and they know what their strengths, they know what their weaknesses are, they know what needs to be done. They also know when to actually delegate control. And control is one of the things that most leaders want to hold on tight to, but actually comes from a very insecure place within the leader. So if a leader is very controlling, it's because they're insecure in themselves. But a great leader is able to delegate tasks and create a trustworthy relationship, transparent relationship with the people they manage. So together, they actually deliver value in alignment with the company's vision.
Yeah, I love that, because I mean, what you said about, and it's very common in corporate leadership, I would say, it is changing. You know, it takes time, but change is happening. But majority of the times I've seen in corporate leadership, it's where this leadership has this persona that, you know, that we know everything, we know what's right, and to control the environment because they know what's right. And you rightly said that, because that comes from a place of insecurity, not because you've got all the answers. We don't have all the answers, right? So
no, I mean, exactly that. We don't know all the answers, and it's been because of me working with so many different teachers, attending so many different workshops, seminars, reading so many books, and having, I would say, consultations with so many different people, that I managed to really bring together the things that I wanted to bring into the world. for the purpose of serving other people. So, you have now young generations who are basically 1,000 times smarter than you are when it comes to how to drive business on social media, for instance. So, we need to know what parts of our leadership we can delegate very easily to others who are much more credible in the work that they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a quick side note here that we are streaming to LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube simultaneously. If for some reason your LinkedIn stream plays up, you can continue over to a YouTube channel at bit.ly/spreading ideas with Amber Khan. All right, Tony. Now let's get it back into the nitty-gritty of this session today. But before we go any further, could you share with our viewers and listeners, why do you do what you do?
Over the last 50 years, I've spent most of my life studying, researching, overcoming adversity after adversity. I've been through bullying, I've been through a civil war, I've been through sexual abuse, I've been through living homeless on the streets, I've been through trying to fight in the corporate world in an environment where it's extremely competitive and where a lot of, I would say, migrants and people of different color, creeds, and race and sexuality are being consistently judged. Now, on this journey, I also learned so many different lessons. And also, I devoted my life for betterment of humanity, for equality, for justice, and also for education for all. And I believe through education, if everybody were to learn those lessons that have accumulated over the lifetime, I believe we will have a greater world. So I'm driven by sharing these solutions that I'm consistently putting in books and creating methodologies to help, first and foremost, for people to gain some form of self-mastery. Why? Because through self-mastery, we can easily overcome daily challenges. And those challenges in COVID world and post-COVID world will actually keep growing and have grown. And most people have no idea how to tackle the ever-growing challenges that COVID has put in front of us. Especially, we have increase in depression, suicide rates, we have increases other mental health issues, people with OCD. We're going to have a whole new wave of unemployment, and most people don't have the skills, entrepreneurial skills, to be able to do something with their life. So the effect is at every level. But also, on the other hand, I believe that basically business and leadership and entrepreneurship have a key role to play in directing this change. And this change, in a way, it's great because why? For me, I see change as the greatest teacher for all of us. And if we learn to navigate change, we become great navigators of life. Therefore, everything that I've learned, it's a tool, and many tools that I've created to help people navigate this change and become great navigators of their life. And the other part is I believe that in every human being, given the right education, the right tools, the right environment, they can excel beyond their imagination.
Oh, yeah.
And that truly drives my heart, drives the service I do, because I believe every human being is unique, it's authentic, it's unfakeable. And they have a role to play in the bigger picture of life, no matter where in that picture you fit in.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what, I wish that since in post-COVID world, whether it's a small business, medium-sized business, or a large business, that even if they are letting go of employees because their business has suffered, that if they had some sort of coaching system in place within the business, meaning a coach to now help, even if they were let's say if a company employed 20 people and they were letting go of 10 people, I would, as a business, I would say the least that I can do, right, is that have a support system in my business to say, can you help my employees? I can't keep them, but can we coach them to give them the right skills? So as they go out for their next opportunity, hopefully they will be able to tackle that in a better way. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to keep them employed, but give them some support, a supporting network. I mean, I think that's, that's
yes. I mean, Amber, what you said there, it's very essential and crucial, and you hit the nail on the head. Why? Because the wave in 2008, 2009, in the last financial crisis, it's actually happened to me to lose the job. So this time around, I was pretty much well prepared for any uncertainty. But back then I wasn't. I almost faced homelessness again after 20 years. And it is that pain that I went through back then, and also did the KPI program. Also, I've done so many other things that helped me to really bring together my knowledge and unleash this mountain of value that I accumulated for the service of others, that build this strength. But, you know, if employees and other people out there, not just employees, this could be schools, educational systems, healthcare systems, and all the places where we're going to see massive unemployment, you know, kindness always pays back. Meaning, if the employees are kind to those who have to lay off, in a sense, they brought somebody like myself, yourself, other people to help and coach and consult these people, so they can actually, you know, get back on track very quickly, and they don't stay at home for 6 months, a year, 2 years, and create other side effect issues when it comes to the impact it's going to have on their mental health, on their family, on their children. You can imagine if we pull back this resource of people who are going to be unemployed back into the economy to be of service, that how better off we all going to be. So I believe with all of my heart, any employer out there who does that for the employees, they will thrive and they will navigate this uncertainty, and they will come out on the other side with so much growth.
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine, I mean, employer doing that. How not only will it will help them bring business, but it will help bring the right people to their own business and to build their own teams. Because not many people are doing that. But if we can do that for others, even if we can't give them jobs, you know, but we can give them the right skills to move on and accelerate the process of getting, you know, climbing up to the next step in their career.
Absolutely. I mean, I see business as a family, and whoever I work with on a business level, I've helped them create that kind of culture. I grew up in an entrepreneurial environment. My parents were business owners. They had multiple restaurants. They treated the people working for us as their children. Now, imagine if a business treat their employees as their own children. And you mentor them, you educate them, you build their skills, you build their stuff so they can excel in their own way. And, you know, as I said, it's businesses, leaders, government, society will all benefit by being kind to one another and creating this supportive mechanism and training and taking people through the shifts and changes. You know, we're going through the biggest digital transformation. Yes. And one of the amazing things that for me as former technologist and now also as a psychologist and human behavioral expert and a coach, I can bring all of those into my clients' businesses. And I have done that consistently through COVID. You know, with some of my clients, we actually built and innovated and created new products, new services, and few of them also wrote their books during COVID that I helped them create. So, you know, some businesses, especially entrepreneurial mindset, people who are more youthful and more, I would say, forward thinking, and they are in this consciousness around heart leadership.
Yes.
They're actually doing exactly what we're actually talking at the moment.
Yeah.
So, you know, all of my clients haven't stopped through COVID. They instead invested, and we extracted the information and the knowledge that potentially of the people they wanted to make them redundant, but no, they kept them. And, you know, I was in St. Lucia, staying at a beautiful Jade hotel. And I had the pleasure of actually having a great talk with the owners of the hotel. Right. Throughout COVID, they kept the entire team employed. Wow. And every person I spoke to, they were so kind and they were so driven. You know, the service was immaculate. So when they reopened, you know, those people did not harbor any negative feeling towards the employees or having problems at home, but they came at work with a lot of love.
Yes, yeah, I love it. You hit the nail on the head there. Kindness. It's such a small word, right? But it encompasses an entire life in itself. You know, I always talk about my dad because I mean he's a great mentor. I've learned a lot from him, and that you know, things that I learned about him, not from him but from others. That when we meet in a gathering and people would say, you know, dad is a great guy, I'd be like, what? Why? Like, why? You know, why do you think so? And they would tell me stories of his kindness. Just like we were talking about, you know, he would donate blood to his employees, those who fell sick, who needed it, right? So it just so happens when he needed something for somebody, he would say, any volunteers to donate blood? And his entire team would come say, you know, yes, we're all in. Just because of kindness, not because you know, that they're highly paid or whatever, right? But the way you show leadership impacts others in amazing ways.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the way we stand, the way we speak, the way we treat others, the way that we actually show ourselves when the worst happens. Because it's very easy to be kind when there's order around you. But I challenge, you know, anybody who's listening to be kind where your entire body is at rage. That's where true mastery comes.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great challenge for the I was going to ask you to share a challenge, but that's another good challenge. Actually, I'm going to think about that as well. But Tony, I opened up today's live with your quote, in which you, for those of you who just joined and missed out on that, is that your masked personas can mess up all of your critical areas of life by justifying your actions and behaviors using the "I'm honoring my values" excuse. But your true and unfakeable and authentic being by default aspires to be in integrity with what you and others values. So I wanted to ask you, what do you mean by unfakeable being? And I understand that's the title of your upcoming or just newly released book as well. So let's start there. Like, what do you mean by unfakeable living?
Now, there's two worlds we all are part of, our inner world and the outer world. Now, there has been, what I've seen in the personal development, spiritual development world, a massive, I would say, drive for growth. But there's always been, sometimes people lose their way in that growth, and on the name of that growth, they make so many different excuses and make other people's lives a misery. Now, we as individuals, you know, I said individuals, not a persona, because I identify the two different things. A persona is somebody that shows up in the moment, that, for instance, let's say any experience you have in your life, your being develops a specific persona that shows to the world. For instance, if you go on a date, you will bring up this dating persona. You know? You'll go and put your best outfit, you put your makeup, you go in the mirror. Some people might have specific jewelry, specific way of showing their best in that date. But that's not really the true you. And we know that. And we know that even when we see ourselves on that mirror. At the same time, you know, when we go to a meeting, you know, we try to please people and create another persona. It will be a meeting persona where, you know, you go out there, you dress up and you say the words that people want you to hear. But, you know, and so throughout lifetime, let's say you've gone through an experience of abuse. Now that persona of abuse will always be there unless you actually you equilibrate all of your perception relating to that event. So you become that persona. Some people will put up the "I'm shy" persona. The other person would put up like "I'm extremely outgoing." The other person could say like, you know, "I'm a people pleaser. I always please people." The other person would say, you know, could be very arrogant persona. But there's no such thing that we are those things all the time. We are momentary, we put those masks. But an authentic individual is basically somebody who literally tries to own all of those different traits. So instead of observing on the outer reality, you go, whatever you observe in others, you start to embody in yourself. And you start building this authentic, true individual that shows up as it is, no matter what the situation is. Meaning, if I was right now with another interview, I'll be speaking to them as I'm speaking to you. So, you know, I don't have to impress somebody. I don't have to try something. I'm just sharing from my heart authentically what my views are, what my teachings are, whatever I do in the world. Now, there's a power in authenticity. Why? Because, there's no such person in the world who is one or the other. There's such person who's both. Sometimes we can be cruel, sometimes we are kind. Sometimes we are straightforward thinking, other times we are shy. Sometimes we put a mask, other times when we're at home, we cry that nobody knows. So, when we start integrating those different personas, and when we look at the different personas we built, which become very self-deceptive in our psychology, we start to really give power to this unfakeable individual that by design, and I'm talking that by intelligent design, whatever created us, we are still learning about it, and knows we are authentic. And within our internal being, we have set of values that basically are ingrained in us. And we know intuitively, through our intuition, when we are out of alignment of that. So this is where the 5 principles, a new methodology I've created for the Unfakeable Code, it's really to establish what are those principles that your internal being, your soul, is actually guiding you to be in alignment with. And those are individual as the fingerprint of a human being, as the retina of the eye. Therefore, as an authentic being, as an unfakeable being, you have a method that can help you upgrade your mind, so your intuition comes forward at much stronger voice than all the voices on the outer reality. And I've worked with people where basically they start doing some personal development work. We start establishing those great, I would say, authentic values, but they actually miss the point. Why? Because I've seen clients who've gone back to the spouses who then, came to me for coaching and said, oh, this is what my husband did. And I went like, no, that's not what I told them. That's what they perceive to be the reality. Because when we are in authenticity with ourselves, we automatically create a way to be authentic with other people, which means our awareness is we use whatever it's high on our values to be able to converse in a way that's high on other people's values, not in a way to put them down, to judge them, or to withdraw, or to create, I would say, blockages and destroy any relationships you built with people at work, at home, with family, and all of that. So this, some people would make an excuse saying, this is what my authentic values, so I do whatever I want, and excuse my expression, sort of. That's not what being in unfakeable means. When you are truly in alignment with that, you find a way to be unfakeable with each other.
Yeah. So what would you say, like, how do you get people to perceive something the right way? For example, I mean, I grew up in Pakistan, and I've seen, there's like 80% of population lives well below average, but I've seen families where you would think, they don't even have electricity every day. They don't even have running water. But when you speak to them, they are happy. And when you ask them, what does it feel like when you don't have this? And their attitude is like, we don't have this, but without it, we still have so many other things. So it's the way they perceive the issue. I was looking at the problem. I was thinking they don't have this. That's the problem, and they're looking at totally opposite direction of the mirror, and still being happy in their lives. So I mean, but we know that in majority of the times this doesn't happen in the world that we live in, especially in the West. It does not happen. We're covered in worries. So how do we change that perception?
Well, first of all, we can never change other people's perception. We can change our perceptions, and our perceptions are something that change every single day, every single moment, including our values. As a former technologist and somebody who studies science, psychology, and various life disciplines, and including comparative religions and healing methodologies, I came to realize the powerful factors within ourselves. And the biggest one is our mind. And, there's a distinction between the brain and the mind. Okay, so the brain is just an organ that every human being has. But what's different is the mind. And then we have to look at what really creates the mind. There are things that actually exist in the mind that interact automatically with the entire environment, whether you like it or not, whether you perceive it or not. Because, through our senses, we receive billions of information every single day. Now, the brain is not capable to filter all this information and actually create an output. So it has a very limited output. Some scientists say it's about 7 bits per second, where at the same time we receive billions of information per second. So what actually happens in our brain, a lot of information gets deleted, a lot of it gets distorted, and a lot of it gets filtered according to the kind of mind psychology we have in that moment. And what consists of psychology? It's basically the key thing, it's your values. So everything through your system that comes into it will be filtered through those values. And the other part will be filtered through your beliefs. And then we have all those meta programming that we've learned from a very young age. Now, those are the three components that filter all of this information. Now, when we go back, like when I take a client, for instance, when they perceive something that is very painful, I always know the pleasure is there, but it's hidden from them. Now, this realization of breakthrough, of actually seeing the unseen, which I teach all of my clients, can really free yourself to feel incredibly free with yourself. Because why? Because most people understand the concept of duality, but then when it's applied to them, it goes down the road. It's just like it never existed. So, we do like to see the yin and yang. We do like to understand that, but when it's applied to us or to others, we forget about it. So, a great mind, a person who creates a lot of self-mastery, can actually bridge those two worlds very nicely. And we become, I would say, we start to look at the world with a lens of objectivity, which is something consistently through all the principles I'm sharing in the Unfakeable Code book. It's how do we change our perceptions in a way that actually aligns ourselves with the world we live in, without us projecting our individual judgments. Of course, judgments are essential to our being, but we must really reflect on ourselves. What is it that we are trying to do when we judge something? Clients who come to me, they come to me because they can share with me all of their deepest secrets, and they will never feel sympathy or judgment. I create that space of love, and love is a space where objectivity takes over, meaning you just see, and then you ask powerful questions for them to come to their own realization of what needs change, for what reason needs to change, what outcomes they wish to create, and what kind of inspired destiny they see themselves creating.
I love that. I love that. So would you say, what's stopping us from getting to where we want to be, whether it's to grow our business, whether to be a better person, whether to grow in life or make a bigger impact? Is it that because we are taught to live in different personas in life, because that's what's been normalized? And is there more to it?
Yes, there is more to it. Anything that we do, Amber, it's all links back to psychology. This is the reason I devoted the last 30 years of studying different forms of how to upgrade our psychology. Now, I've asked many of my clients who run big businesses, would you take a software that was designed today and put it in a computer that was designed in 1990? And automatically the answer across the board, their teams and everything else is no, and they start laughing. Now, the question I have, why do we expect with an old and outdated psychology to create new results that are fit for purpose in the 21st century? Why? And this is where I believe every human being would benefit from a coach, from a mentor, from a consultant, from a therapist, from a scientist, whatever they are driven, they want to achieve. Because mind is the key. No matter what you want to do, whether you want to have a better health, if you want to change your health and you want to change your physiology, mind is the key. Whether you want to build a business, mind is the key. Whether you want to increase your finances, mind is the key. Whether you want to make a greater contribution in the world, the mind is the key. So therefore, people who want to make a bigger impact in the world and want greater achievements, and actually they want a bigger growth, the first starts with nurturing the mind with a kind of knowledge and tools that the mind is then enabled to create those things for you. You know, if you don't program yourself for those things, how on earth do you expect a reality to change?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I guess for those of us who are on this journey, let's say, or who realize that maybe I'm not living up to my potential, what mistakes could they avoid as they start on this journey?
Well, the first thing is, as I mentioned before, is the three things, which is the values, the beliefs, and the meta programming. So the first thing I always tell people, actually, you know, be clear what you value. Because a lot of people say to me, I value money. But when I look at their reality and ask about 50 questions, those questions will reveal that no way they value money. They value other things. They value consumable. They value experiences. They value drinking. They value clothes. They value shopping. They value travel, but not wealth. But in their mind, they think they value wealth. So the external reality does not match the internal value. So, you know, we cannot have those contradictions because you'll never create them. It's just almost canceling it and will bring you into further debt. So the first thing is to really spend time in identifying what those values are. You know, there's something called in the Unfakeable Code. There are many things that I recommend to, people to do, but also value determining your values. It's the first step to do, and also the kind of behaviors that you have once you've determined those values and the kind of beliefs you have. And what kind of specific actions are you taking for you to be in integrity with those values and have a vision which is driven by what is most important to you? And if you have integrity, all of those things, and you do this every single day, the universe will aspire to help you achieve those things, because I'm a living example of that.
Love that. And I think that is so true, that a lot of us know get it exactly what you're saying, but it's just that I don't know if you say that we just don't have the courage, you know, to actually say, yes, that is so true. This is, you know, our external views and internal values are not aligned, and that's what we need to work on. It's kind of like embarrassing in a way as well, to finally accept that, you know, there is some misalignment that needs work. Maybe that's the reason why we're not able to reach the potential that we feel that we have, and we should be getting there. So
yes, I mean, it requires extreme focus, determination, and commitment. And commitments, I used it last. Why? Because a lot of people start on this journey, but they don't have the commitment. And usually people don't have the commitment because actually the values they came up with, they're not really theirs. Yes. There might be somebody they admire. There might be somebody, some hero, or somebody that say, okay, this guy has a lot of wealth, I want to be that wealthy guy. Or this guy has got a business, I want to be that guy. Or, you know, my parents wanted to be a doctor and I'm an engineer, whatever it might be. So, you know, if people find themselves, there's no commitment, that means truly they still haven't clarified what those values are and what this vision that is driven by their soul. You know, the first chapter of my book, The Unfakeable Code, starts with a very powerful message saying, take off the mask, the soul is waiting. Now, just on that, I could coach people for almost a year. Just taking that sentence. What that means to demystify what those masks are and what is, you know, that intuitive knowing of your soul that wants you to excel and wants you to experience a life and wants you to be the biggest creator you've ever been.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like stop living on borrowed values, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's actually exactly that. We have been taught from a very young age to live on other people's values, so borrowed values. But not just borrowed values. We must remind ourselves we also borrow other people's thinking. We also borrow other people's expectations of us. We also borrow other people's disempowered beliefs. I was on a TV interview just before this interview, an hour ago, and it was for a Macedonian TV for young leadership. So basically, they bring me often on their TV to inspire the young leaders, but also education systems and university professors to be able to help them to bring children back into this kind of work. And the key behind that, it's who we are in the midst of adversity determines who we become.
Yeah. I think that's a mantra to live by. Who we are in adversity, it determines who we are, and that is so true. I mean, and I think COVID has taught us that, because a lot of people have gone through it. We've seen others go through it, and it shows people's true colors. Rightly said, when in times of adversity. So, yeah, love that. Now, a quick note that this show is sponsored by Repurpose, where we entrust purpose-driven entrepreneurs to disseminate ideas, build relationships at scale, and drive forward momentum without relying on sketchy AI tools or hiring and managing entire content marketing teams or riding on the coattails of blood-sucking PR agencies. You will also find the best bits of this show on my YouTube channel here, bit.ly/spreading ideas with Amber Khan. All right, Tony, I actually would like to ask you, since you've written multiple books and you've published awesome work everywhere. So, I mean, does your job finish there when you publish the book, because you feel like, okay, I've written the work and now that should be able to impact a lot of people, reach a lot of people, and my work is done? Or is there more to it? Okay, I think I've lost you there. Okay, people, I think we've lost Tony for a little bit, but hopefully he will rejoin us in a minute. And until then, I will try to keep this going, but I just want to make sure that it isn't something on our part, then my internet is going and seems to be working all right. Let's see if it is something we can resolve and get Tony back on the live with us. And hopefully he will join us again. I thought so. You can always catch the replay of this conversation here. Let me share the link with you on bit.ly/spreading ideas with Amber Khan. And that's where we will, we also share the important clips and tidbits from the entire conversations on my channel as well. And as we were talking with Tony, I think he might be back. Tony, are you back?
I am back.
Yes, we got you back.
I'm not sure what happened in there, but
yeah, we lost you for a bit.
But lost you too.
Not to worry. I think we were talking about you have published a lot of work. You've written many books. Does your work finish at that point that you have now published the work and you feel like, okay, now people will read my book and it will impact their lives and my job is done? Or is there more to it?
There is so much more to it. It's once you really awaken this entrepreneurial spirit within yourself, you start to really look at so many other different things that can make an impact in other people's lives. So for me, it's I remember I have a video at some point. I'm also creating documentaries and films. So basically, the Unfakeable Code, we're looking with some major partners, including Warner Bros. And a few other film people who actually did The Secret, something I mentioned earlier on,
yes,
to really create a unique film documentary about the Unfakeable Code to bring entrepreneurs who want to build their businesses, where I coach them and mentor them, and we film the entire thing.
All right.
And really take them to the process of truly unleashing this power and taking back control in the things that are most important to you. So as an engineer, as a scientist, wherever I travel, wherever I work, whoever I'm working with, I always look at finding solutions to problems. So when you have that sort of engineering mind like myself, every opportunity to solve a problem turns into an IP. And, while I haven't told anybody, but at the moment I released the Unfakeable Code, now it's going through the process of entering the marketing and also creating a virtual book launch. But I started already writing 2 new books. So I laid out already 2 new books. And the one that I'm writing currently, it's called A Path to Excellence, How to Climb Greater Heights. And the reason I wanted to write this book, it's basically, the first book was A Path to Wisdom, how to live a balanced, healthy, and peaceful life. 3 things that every human being would benefit from. Now, how to climb greater heights. I've been teaching my 5-day program called Vital Planning for Elevated Living for the last 7 years in amazing locations around the world, working with individuals specifically to build their business and also build themselves. And one of the things that I've learned and I've realized throughout my entire life, and also observing other people, that we never stop growing. And we never have, I would say, we solved our problems. Meaning, the more we expand as human beings, the more those problems expand. Meaning, the more you want to achieve in your life, whatever level you go through, you still have challenges, you still have pains, you still have, procrastination, you still have fears. So I wanted to create a step-by-step path for people to be able to tackle those challenges that come to them in the moment of growth to the next level. But it's a continuous journey, and reason being, we are beings that consistently evolve. We will go through that evolutionary cycle until our last breath. So I said to myself, okay, let me bring, and this idea also came into one of my meditations about why I've always been driven with number 8. I have 8 key areas of life in my book, Path to Wisdom. And there are many things related to number 8, and also the octagon, which is basically in some of the most famous buildings around the world, architecturally, what octagon represents, which is strength and also brings together, I would say, infinity. So I wanted to bridge this gap between infinity and temporary stages of our human development and give people a path. So therefore, I created a path to excellence for those people who basically, no matter where you are in your life, intuitively you want to go to the next level. And therefore, I'm creating a methodology that it's an 8-step methodology that if you follow continuously every time you have a challenge, I guarantee you will excel in your own path to excellence.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, the moment we stop learning is when we stop growing. And I think that's the end of life, literally. It's like you will shrivel up inside, and everything in life will seem meaningless. And that's when everybody starts to, complain about life as well. Everything's going wrong in my life. Nothing seems to work. It's because we've stopped growing. So I love that. I totally agree that no matter what stage of life we are in, and we keep growing. And for that, of course, if we have a path that we know we can follow to reach the heights of excellence, even better to follow what works, what's proven. Just wanted to share with folks that those who want to connect with you, they can find you on your website, tonyselimi.com, and you are on social media as well, at Tony J. Selimi on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And go grab yourself his recent book, The Infectable Code, which we've been talking about in this entire life, and many of his other books as well. But this one, the name really got me because I'd actually been talking to my friends. Yeah, there it is. Woohoo! Yeah, I was talking to my friends about this, and my sisters as well. We were talking about how, people, a lot of us living in the social media world, how lives have become so fake, and what we say from our mouth or what is written on a website that these are the values we live by, but by action they don't show it. It doesn't match. So it's not like they're not walking the walk. It's
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen a lot of people out there who basically, say one thing, but knowing them personally, they are totally different people. And unfortunately, in many of my global interviews, when they ask me about technology and digital transformation and all of that, it's very well to do all of those amazing things that technology does. But technology is like an atomic bomb. If you give an atomic bomb to a child who loves to play, don't expect it not to go off. And at the same time, we've created the most advanced technologies and tools, and we've given them to masses who their brain is not educated in a way to use the technology for the greater good.
Yeah, I love that. Love that analogy. I never thought about it that way, actually, that we just create technology and just give it to masses without actually educating people on the right use of it. Love that. And I mean, I've got young kids, so it totally makes sense that, we as parents, that's what we try to manage, right? Like give them things at the right time in their life, because we know that, you can't give them everything in one go. It makes no sense, right? Before they learn.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, it's one of the subjects on my latest TV interview before this interview was about parenting and what the role of the parents is during COVID and post-COVID. And, most parents were not taught to be teachers.
Yes.
None of the parents in the world came with a life manual. None of them. So therefore, when they asked me what is one advice you would give to the parents who are listening to this TV show, and I said, well, first thing is actually, learn better ways of being a parent. Start with that. Because whatever you've been passed on for your parents, what you've observed, it's not necessarily what your child needs in 21st century. We're having babies being born who will be traveling to Mars and to the moon, and who will be living in space. And we're going to have space technology. We're going to have space mining. We're going to have space nutrition. All of those things are happening. They're happening right now. And, the young children are really being born into, I would say, an advanced society where those things will be the norm for them. But that does not mean will be the norm for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, folks, it is now that time of the interview for us. And you may be thinking, what is it? Gossip time, or share the fun pickup lines time, or tell an embarrassing joke time? Unfortunately, we are not that type of a show. Well, not yet anyway. But what it is time for is the 48-hour challenge time. Now, Tony, this is where I ask you to share what is that one thing that our viewers and listeners can implement in the next 48 hours when it comes to living an authentic life that doesn't cost an arm and a leg or requires a team to hire and execute it?
Well, think one thing that is most important to you, something you've never done in your life. It could be like picking up a phone and calling a celebrity. So I would put a challenge to any of the people out there to find the number of a person they would love to have a chat with and give them a call and make it happen.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's an actionable challenge. I love that. All right. And we will be sharing a clip of that later on in social media as well, because that's a good challenge. I think that's for, either get people to, that's it. I would love to do that. Or it will separate those from non-doers. Like, well, I think I'll just live the life that I'm living. It's okay.
Yes. I mean, a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, especially people who write their book, have their IP, we depend on endorsement, from people who are, already out there making the waves. And, if you want a celebrity endorsement, the challenge that I gave you, it's perfect. Find a way to connect with that celebrity, what's important to them. And then through that conversation, share what's important to you and how what's important to them and what's important to you can be aligned. Yeah. And then you get an amazing endorsement. This is how I created a lot of the endorsement. This book is endorsed by Dr. John Demartini, who wrote the foreword, one of the world's best human behavioral experts, and has been my mentor for many years now. And then we have Brian Tracy in there. I have Jack Canfield. I have a lot of amazing people, but people who also know my work personally, and people who also hired me personally to help them and help their families.
Yeah, that's a great challenge, and I love that that it's a challenge, but there is a hidden business growth tip as well in there, and how to raise your credibility. There's all sorts of tips in there in just one.
Yes, yes. Basically, I mean, credibility is a matter of you being creative in the way you approach people, but in a way you approach people from what they truly value and how whatever you do can help them grow. I share transparently through my book all of the different teachers, all of the different programs and everything else, which is almost like a free marketing for all these people. But I do it from my heart. And, they also share me with their community. I have got a lot of clients from different communities that I've worked with and I participated. And also a lot of speaking engagement, a lot of interviewing stuff. A lot of people offered, to exchange reviews and things like that. And some people who really are ready to excel, they signed up to my 5-day program, which is we go in beautiful locations around the world, and my entire focus is on you. Yeah. And that's an experience that truly transforms your reality, because I wanted to create something that wows my client. And part of that, there's also one day where we do what I call a reward day, where I really create intuitively experiences for my clients to both grow, have fun, but also challenge them to do something they've never done. The latest client that I worked in Dominican Republic, she had a phobia from water. So basically, I took her swimming with the sharks and the dolphins and snorkeling for the first time in her life, being able to go into open waters. So as part of the fun day, reward day, I helped her overcome the phobia from swimming.
Oh, wow. That's an amazing story. That itself can turn into a documentary.
Yes. I mean, it's, there are so many things you can do. You can wow your clients. If you truly love what you do, you'll find a way to really communicate to these people. You'll find a way to meet the challenge and make a list of who these people are that you truly want to connect, and align your brand, align yourself, align your vision and mission with something that is meaningful to you, but also it's meaningful to other people. Because the truth is, everybody has their own version of meaning and purpose. And the trick is to you find yourself in alignment with the people you want to have in your circle of influence.
Yeah, I love that each one of us not only has the capability, we're all unique beings. There's no other replica of us. And we all have the potential to reach where we want to go. It's just a matter of focusing on what we want to do, what we want out of life, and be ready to accept the challenge, because it's going to be hard work, right? It's not easy, but it's a challenge worth accepting. Well, Tony, thank you so much for being on this live with me. I mean, we can talk about this, and you've written so many books, so I think we can spend like days talking about the work that you're doing and the impact that you're making. But I'm very thankful for your time, and hopefully, people who watch this now or later on, whenever you watch it on social media or on YouTube, that I'm sure they'll find many impactful nuggets from this conversation. But until next time, Tony, toodaloo for now.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.